Hello and welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon and today I'm going to be talking about what's the deal with Frank Darabont. Frank Darabont burst into the scene in 1994 with the Shawshank Redemption. He then went on to also direct The Green Mile as well as create The Walking Dead, which is one of the more successful TV shows in recent history. In between, he also directed The Majestic, which wasn't highly regarded when it came out, but is a cult classic now and a movie that I particularly love. And following The Majestic, he also directed The Mist, which was another Stephen King adaptation like The Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption, but once again, wasn't very popular when it came out and definitely cut audiences down the middle, with some people loving it and some people hating it. Overall, it's just kind of a mixed movie though. And that's pretty much it. Before Shawshank Redemption, he does have a couple of shorts and TV movies to his name, but really he doesn't have anything before or since that. He's made these 4 movies and 1 TV show. Other than that, he's got a couple of random weird directing credits, like 1 episode here or there, but really, that's it. And my question is, why? The Shawshank Redemption is widely considered in the top 10 movies of all time, and The Green Mile in the top 100. I also regard The Majestic very highly, and like I was just saying about The Walking Dead, it's extremely successful. So how do you go from making 3 great movies, one which is undeniably one of the best movies of all time, 1 slight miss, and a great TV show, to just nothing? Well, part of it is that he's not particularly fast. Between The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile was a 5-year break. The Majestic did come out only 2 years later in 2001, but The Mist wasn't until 2007. So even though he's putting out high quality stuff most of the time, he takes his time to do it. While looking through his IMDb page, you might see that he has almost twice as many writing credits as he has directing credits. So you'd think, well, maybe he's mainly just a writer and he only directs sometimes. But a quick look through his writing credits and you see he doesn't take writing that seriously either. His most recent writing credit is still for The Walking Dead, and the one previous to that was for the 2014 Godzilla movie for, quote, additional writing, which he was uncredited for. Before that, he created a TV show that lasted 1 season called Mob City, and before that was 2007's The Mist. So he does write more frequently than he does direct, but he's still taking these huge breaks in between each time. And even though he has so many more writing credits than directing credits, most of them came before he started directing. And it really just frustrates me. This isn't a study on Frank Darabont. This is an honest question. What is his deal? I don't get it. He is obviously one of the most talented directors out there, since he's only put out essentially these 5 projects since blowing up, and to me, 4 of those 5 projects are great and amazing things. With that kind of success rate, you would think that he would do more. Even if you don't like The Majestic, that's still 3 out of 5 times he's released some of the best things possible. And it's not like his misses, even if you consider The Mist and The Majestic as misses, they're not particularly egregious. So you either have The Shawshank Redemption or The Green Mile, or The Majestic and The Mist. You either have 2 of the greatest movies of all time, or movies that are okay but kind of forgettable. There's not a lot of risk reward here. There's all reward. If you're a studio, why wouldn't you be asking him to write and direct all of your movies? Or for that matter, why isn't AMC trying to bring him back, or HBO trying to catch on to him to make one of their own TV shows? It's ridiculous to think about that The Mist is considered his biggest mistake as a director, and it's got a 7.1 on IMDb. Yes, I know, that's not an Oscar-worthy movie like The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, but it's a 7.1! That is a completely fine movie in every way, especially in the campy horror genre, which it was. It was a Stephen King book, a horror Stephen King book, not one of his more serious ones. This was a horror Stephen King book. How often do those books make good movies? You've got It, you've got The Shining, and pretty much that's about it. No pun intended with the It. That's such a bad name. Just name the book Pennywise. Like, was that so hard, Stephen King? I came up with that in half a second. You had all this time writing your 5,000 page book and you're like, what should I call it? Oh, that's it. I said it again. I said it again. I can't stop saying it. This isn't a Stephen King rant. This is a Frank Darabont rant. And my rant is, what is your deal? Does he just not like filmmaking that much? Is it just a side hobby? Does nobody know these answers? Can somebody tell me? I don't need him to direct 10 movies to decide if he's great or not. I already know based on the first 2 in a row. You don't make the Shawshank Redemption and the Green Mile back to back by accident. And then you don't follow that up with the Majestic on accident. And you don't also make The Walking Dead by accident. This man is extremely talented. He's more talented than 99% of the other directors working today, and he's only made 5 notable things. Why? Why, Darabont, why? So asking all these questions made me go a little bit crazy, so I turned to my friend Google because they always have all the answers. And in doing so, I quickly found an interview where he answers that question, when will you make another movie? It's been over a decade since your last feature, The Mist. Are you going to make another movie? Well, that depends entirely on Hollywood. I'm not the guy you'd want to hire to direct a superhero movie, and that seems to be the big focus these days. My kind of filmmaking might be a little bit quaint. We'll see if there's any gas left in the tank for me, but I've got a couple things I would love to do. If I could find the home for it, find the funding for it. But neither am I holding my breath. This is Hollywood after all, and a lot of people turn blue holding their breath. And so it comes back to Hollywood, and there being no funding for it. No funding for another Darabont film, because he doesn't want to make a superhero movie. Excuse me, who cares? It can't be entirely Hollywood blacklisting him or anything, because there's plenty of other directors that have found their way through this mess of a state of Hollywood that we're stuck in right now with all of these over-the-top action movies that have no depth to them at all. We still find Scorsese making movies. We still find Nolan making movies, and I know Nolan did the Dark Knight trilogy, but most of his movies aren't that. And I'm aware that Martin Scorsese moved to Netflix for his most recent release, The Irishman, but why couldn't Darabont do the same thing? It feels like nobody's reaching out to Darabont, but it also feels like Darabont's not reaching out to anybody else either. I really don't know. It's such a shame when you think about it. He is one of the greatest directors of this generation, and he's made 4 movies and a TV show. And that's it. I don't know what the disconnect is here. I don't know why he's not trying harder to make more movies, and I don't know why people aren't trying to reach out to him to make more movies. He could have been a Scorsese, he could have been a Nolan, he could have been any of these great directors if he just made more movies, but he hasn't. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have the answers. This isn't some in-depth character study. This isn't some research paper I did. This is just the honest question. What is the deal with Frank Darabont? I want more movies. I think we all do. His movies are great. And even when they're not great, they're pretty good. And in my personal opinion, I know The Walking Dead's gone on a long time without him, but I thought the first season was the best season. And that was the one he had the most creative control over. So I don't know. Now, taking a trip back to IMDb, you see that he does have an up-and-coming project called Honor, which was previously written by Stanley Kubrick, and it's listed as being in development. So that's good, but a little bit worrisome. The fact that it's still in development means that this could not happen at all. This could just be some fairy tale that we never see actually exist. So it is exciting that he's at least trying to get back out there. Maybe this is a Netflix movie, I don't know. But all we can do is just hope and cross our fingers that we actually get to see this movie, and it's just as good as we all know and hope that it can be. So I don't know what this was. I wanted to talk about my boy Darabont though. He's so underappreciated, but seriously, I know I've said it so many times, but how can you make the Shawshank Redemption and Green Mile back to back, also then The Majestic and The Walking Dead, and then The Mist? Oh no, he made The Mist. Horrible director now. This was an interesting video. I'm Simon from SimonsRants, and that was my rant for today.